12 facts about a man rock radio still won't fully claim as one of its own. You've hummed that Beat It riff 1,000 times without even meaning to. But you probably don't know whose hands actually built half of it, or that the genre that locked him out the hardest in 1983 spent the next 20 years quietly borrowing his guitar players, his songs, his rock credibility, and never once said thank you. Tonight isn't about the king of pop. It's about the rock pedigree hiding inside that crown and why we owe him one. Number 12. Let's start with the wound, because that's where every apology has to start. 1981, MTV goes on the air, and if you were watching back then, you know exactly what kind of channel it was. Wall-to-wall white rock and new wave, nothing else. That wasn't an accident, that was policy. And here's what most fans never knew. When Billie Jean was finished and ready to go, MTV executives looked at it and said no. Not yet, no. Their reasoning, in their own words, was that it wasn't their audience. Stay with me on this one, because it gets worse before it gets better. Michael's label boss, Walter Yetnikoff, didn't ask twice. He got MTV's people on the phone and told them, in language a lot saltier than what I can repeat here, that every CBS artist, every video, every dollar of advertising was about to disappear from their network unless Billie Jean went into rotation immediately. And you know what's wild? It worked. March 10th, 1983, the video airs. And it doesn't just play, it becomes one of the most replayed videos the channel has ever run. Here's the part that should sting a little. 3 weeks later, Beat It premieres on the same channel with a budget 3 times the size. The same network that said he didn't belong built an entire chunk of its identity off the back of an artist it tried to lock out the door. That's not a footnote, that's the whole apology, right there in one story. The rock establishment didn't open the gate for him. He kicked it down. With somebody else's foot on the threat, sure, but it was his music that made the threat worth making. And if you've ever had to fight twice as hard just to get a foot in a room that should have already had a seat for you, you know exactly what that feeling costs, even when you win. Number 11. Eddie Van Halen, lead guitarist of one of the biggest hard rock bands on the planet, got a phone call in 1982 that he genuinely thought was a prank. Picture it, his bandmates are out of town. The phone rings. Some guy says he's Quincy Jones, calling to ask if Eddie wants to play guitar on Michael Jackson's new record. And Eddie, by his own account, cusses the guy out, certain it's a joke. It takes a minute for it to land that it's real. Here's the thing, Eddie didn't have to say yes. Rock Guitarist in 1982 did not go anywhere near pop records, not without catching heat for it. But he says yes anyway. He shows up, rearranges part of the song himself, and records the solo, for free, as a favor, in just 2 takes. Won't hold me tonight. 2 takes, 20 seconds of guitar that took less time to record than it took you to read this sentence. And here's a detail almost nobody talks about. Michael's own brother Tito had already cut a guitar solo for that song. It got scrapped the moment Eddie's tape came back. That's how undeniable it was. And you know how these stories go. Not everybody was thrilled. Van Halen's own bandmates were furious. Their manager was furious. Eddie said later he was treated like a fool for doing it. He said it himself, "I was a complete fool," according to the rest of the band, for helping make one of the biggest songs in music history. What do you do when doing something brilliant gets you punished by your own people. Here's what gets me about this part. During the mix, engineers say the volume off Eddie's amp was so hot it actually caught a studio monitor on fire, and someone in the room reportedly said, "This must be really good." It was. It's Beat It. And the cost of that solo, to Eddie, personally, was a fight with the band he'd go home to that night. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 10. Here's a number that should stop you cold. 1984 Grammys. Michael Jackson wins 8 awards that night for Thriller. 2 of them are for Beat It Alone. One is Record of the Year, Expected. The other is Best Male Rock Vocal Performance. Read that again. Not pop, not R&B, rock. The Recording Academy looked at Michael Jackson's vocal on a track with Eddie Van Halen's fingerprints all over it and decided, officially, on the record, that this was a rock performance worth the genre's highest individual honor. And if you've ever done something good enough that even the people who'd never admit you belonged had to give you credit anyway, you know that particular flavor of vindication. It doesn't erase what came before, but it's not nothing either. Here's what's wild about it, though. That trophy didn't change the conversation. Decades later, people still debate whether Michael Jackson counts as a real rock artist. Like the Grammy never happened, like the genre's own voting body never put its name behind it. Quincy Jones had pushed hard for that record rock crossover sound on purpose. He wanted something that played on rock radio, not just R&B stations. He told Michael flat out he wanted a song built in the spirit of the rock hits dominating airplay at the time. Michael delivered exactly that, and then some. So here's the real wait what of this whole story. The same year, the rock establishment was deciding whether Michael Jackson belonged on their television network. Their own award show was handing him a rock trophy with his name engraved on it. You can't have it both ways. Either the work counted or it didn't. And the Academy already told you the answer back in 1984. Number 9. 1987. Michael's back in the studio with Quincy Jones, working on Bad, and there's a song called Dirty Diana that needs the same kind of jolt Beat It got 5 years earlier. So who do you call when you need lightning to strike twice? They land on Steve Stevens, Billy Idol's guitarist, the guy behind those snarling leads on Rebel Yell. And Stevens later admitted something pretty honest. Walking into that session, he was terrified, not because of the music, because he knew exactly what shadow he was stepping into. Eddie Van Halen's solo on Beat It was already legend. Now he had to follow it. Here's the part that surprised even him. He shows up expecting chaos. An entourage, a circus, Michael's famous chimp swinging from the rafters. Instead, he opens the studio door and it's just Michael, Quincy, and an engineer. Quiet, focused, exactly like a session with Billy Idol. Quincy gives him almost no direction. Just go in there and do what you do. And Stevens delivers most of that solo essentially live, off instinct, in close to one take. The result reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the 5th straight chart topper off Bad. Critics at the time openly compared the track to Beat It, calling it the heavier, harder-edged cousin. And here's the soft controversy I'll put out there. I think Dirty Diana might be the most underrated rock vocal performance in his entire catalog. Fight me on that in the comments if you disagree. I already know some of you will. 2 records, 2 separate rock guitarists, 2 #1 results. That's not a fluke, that's a pattern. And patterns are exactly what get ignored when the narrative's already been decided about who somebody is. Number 8. In 1983, Michael Jackson started recording a duet at his family's home studio. His singing partner wasn't Mick Jagger, it was Freddie Mercury. If you know anything about Queen, you know what that voice could do. The two of them worked on at least 3 songs together that year, including a track called State of Shock. Scheduling kept pulling them apart, Freddie touring, Michael deep in his own album cycle, and the song that was supposed to be a King of Pop meets Queen collaboration just sat there, unfinished. Eventually, Michael moved on and completed the song with Mick Jagger instead. It became a top 3 hit, the Jacksons' final gold single, in fact. But here's the part most people never knew until years later. That original Freddie Mercury version didn't disappear. It leaked online in 2002, a stripped-down demo, just 2 of the greatest voices of their generation, trading lines over a half-built track that was never meant to be heard that way. And if you've ever had something genuinely special fall apart, not because anyone did anything wrong, just because the timing never lined up, you know that particular kind of loss. It's not heartbreak exactly, it's quieter than that. It's wondering, for the rest of your life, what the finished version would have sounded like. Brian May and Roger Taylor eventually polished up pieces of those Mercury-Jackson sessions for a Queen archival release over a decade later. So in a strange way, the collaboration the world almost missed entirely did eventually surface, just decades after the moment that made it matter had already passed. Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury, 2 of the most untouchable voices in music, sitting in a room together making something rock fans never even knew to ask for. Number 7. Here's a fact that should end the entire debate by itself, and somehow it never does. Michael Jackson has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice. First in 1997 with his brothers as part of the Jackson 5, then again in 2001 as a solo artist. That induction made him the youngest solo performer the Hall had ever enshrined. Justin Timberlake and NSYNC walked him out. He thanked his family, thanked Quincy Jones, thanked the fans, and joked that there wouldn't be any moonwalking that night because he'd broken his foot. Not once, not as some honorary footnote, twice, fully, by name, voted in by historians and musicians and industry professionals who make up that voting body. So here's the question I want you to sit with. How do you get formally inducted into an institution called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice and still spend decades hearing people argue you're not really rock? You know what's worse? Even after Michael's death, when journalists asked the Hall directly whether they'd reconsider his place there, the Hall didn't hesitate. They confirmed it, plainly. He was recognized, in their words, for musical excellence and a significant impact on rock and roll. Full stop. No asterisk. That's the institution itself, on the record, settling the question rock fans keep relitigating online. And if you've ever watched the official answer get ignored in favor of the comfortable assumption, you know how stubborn that kind of disbelief can be, even with the proof sitting right there in Cleveland. Some of y'all just said, "I didn't know that" out loud. I heard you. Number 6. In 1985, over dinner, Paul McCartney did something he probably wishes he hadn't. The two of them had just finished recording together. The Girl Is Mine, Say Say Say, and they were friendly, genuinely close. McCartney pulled out a thick binder of songs he owned the publishing rights to and explained, casually, how music publishing actually worked. How owning the rights to a song could outlast any royalty check from singing it. Michael listened, and he told Paul, half joking, that one day he'd buy the Beatles songs. McCartney laughed it off. "Great, good joke," he reportedly said. It wasn't a joke. When I saw you kicking dirt in my eye. Later that year, the company holding the rights to 251 Lennon-McCartney songs went up for sale. Yesterday, Let It Be, Hey Jude, Come Together, the actual published rights to the heart of the Beatles catalog. McCartney wanted it. He couldn't close the deal in time. Michael Jackson did. $47.5 million. Finalized in August 1985. If you're black or white. Here's what gets me about this one. The same rock establishment that spent years questioning whether Michael Jackson belonged in their world. He didn't just belong in it. For 3 decades, he legally owned a piece of its most sacred catalog. Every time Revolution played in a commercial, every time Yesterday got licensed for a film, that royalty check ran through Michael Jackson's company first. McCartney was hurt by it, genuinely. He said so publicly more than once. And honestly, I understand both sides of that one. I'd argue rock fans rarely sit with the irony that the artist they questioned was the same man holding the keys to the genre's most untouchable songbook. You can debate whether he was rock all you want. He owned rock, outright, on paper, for 30 years. Number 5. For an entire decade, the same guitarist stood behind Michael Jackson on every world tour. Bad, Dangerous, H.I. Story. Her name is Jennifer Batten, and she earned that spot fair and square, beating out over 100 other guitarists for the gig back in 1987. You've heard her playing even if you never knew her name. That blistering tapping solo during the Beat It breakdown, live, night after night, stadium after stadium, that's her. Here's the part that should make you angry on her behalf. Rock guitar circles didn't take her seriously, not because of her playing, because of where she was playing it. She's said it plainly in interviews since. People dismissed it as just a pop gig, like anybody could have done it. Like the skill didn't count because the artist wasn't deemed rock enough. Then, in 1999, guitar legend Jeff Beck, someone Batten had idolized since she was a teenager, asked her to join his band. And you know what happened? It didn't earn her respect from the same crowd that dismissed her. It made some of them angrier. Suddenly, she wasn't just doing a pop gig anymore. She was standing on serious rock turf. And according to her own account, that ticked some people off even more. Like she'd snuck in somewhere she didn't belong. Think about that for a second. A guitarist gets brushed off for 10 years of work with Michael Jackson, then gets resented the moment she proves she could do exactly what those same critics respected in someone else. That's not a knock on her skill. That's the whole prejudice laid bare in one sentence. The gatekeeping was never really about the playing. It was about whose name was on the album cover. She earned both rooms. The genre just took its time admitting it. Number 4, quick myth check, because I guarantee some of you believe this one and have for years. Everybody remembers Slash shredding through Black or White, the boombox in the kid's bedroom, that snarling riff kicking the song into gear. Popular memory has filed that under Slash. It's not. That guitar part was actually played by producer Bill Bottrell, not Slash, on the studio record. Slash himself has had to publicly correct people about it more than once, visibly annoyed that the credit kept landing on him for a part he didn't play. Here's what he did do, though, and it's arguably more impressive. He laid down the genuinely blistering lead on Give In To Me off the same album. Real, credited unmistakably his sound, dark and sexual and dripping with hard rock attitude over Michael's vocal. That one's real. That one's all him. You close your eyes and hope that this is just a man. And he didn't stop there. Slash went on to perform with Michael live for over a decade. MTV's 10th anniversary special, the Super Bowl, the HI Story and Invincible sessions. By 1999, the two had been musical partners so long that at an all-star charity concert, Slash launched into an extended solo, lost track of time, and security physically pulled him off stage for refusing to stop playing. I know, that's a mouthful. A rock legend getting yanked off Michael Jackson's own stage for soloing too hard. But it happened. So, here's the real story underneath the myth. People misremember which Slash performance was real, while completely glossing over the part that actually was. You hear the door slam and realize there's nowhere left. A genuine decade-long creative partnership between a hard rock icon and a man rock fans still argue doesn't belong near that world. You can't get pulled off stage for playing too long with someone you don't respect. That bond was real. The myth just covered it up. Number 3. Here's one that should settle the argument all by itself, no asterisk required. Michael Jackson covered Come Together, the Beatles song. He performed his version in the 1988 film Moonwalker, then kept it in his live show for the rest of his touring career, all the way through the HI Story World Tour in the late 90s. Think about what that actually means. The same artist people debated as not rock enough was for years standing on stage performing an actual rock song written by Lennon and McCartney, full stop, no genre bending required, and delivering it with enough conviction that even some die-hard Beatles fans admit they prefer his version. If you've ever loved a cover so much you forgot it was a cover, you know that feeling. There are fans out there who heard Michael's Come Together first and were genuinely shocked, years later, to learn it wasn't his original song. That's not a knock on the Beatles. That's a testament to how completely he could inhabit a rock record when he wanted to. He wasn't sampling the genre from a distance. He wasn't borrowing its sound through a guitarist on the payroll. He stood in front of a stadium and sang a Beatles song, the same way he'd sing his own, with the same conviction, the same intensity, the same total ownership of the room. Here's the soft controversy. I'd argue his version isn't just a good cover. I think it's one of the most underappreciated rock vocal performances in his entire catalog, and it almost never gets mentioned in these conversations because it's filed under Beatles cover instead of Michael Jackson rock moment. Some of you are going to disagree. Drop it in the comments. I want to see where people land. Number 2. By 2001, Michael Jackson was deep into the most expensive album ever recorded, Invincible, his final studio album, the one that would close out his entire recording career. And even at the very end, with the industry shifting under him, with Sony pulling back promotion before the record even had a fair shot, two of rock's most recognizable guitarists still showed up to be part of it. Slash came back again. Years after Dangerous, years after HI Story, He laid down a fierce, unmistakable solo on Privacy, still answering the call, still putting his name next to Michael's after a decade of partnership. And alongside him, Carlos Santana, one of the most legendary guitarists alive, period, contributing genuinely passionate, soaring guitar work to the track Whatever Happens. Critics singled it out as one of the album's strongest moments, Santana's playing doing real emotional heavy lifting against Michael's vocal. Here's what gets me about this one. By 2001, Michael Jackson didn't need rock credibility. He'd already had it for nearly 2 decades by then. These weren't guitarists chasing a career boost by attaching themselves to a struggling artist. Slash and Santana showed up because the work itself was still worth showing up for. And if you've ever watched the people who genuinely respected you stick around even after the industry stopped paying attention, you know what that kind of loyalty actually means. It's not about the spotlight anymore at that point. It's about the music being good enough that serious musicians still want it in. 2 of rock's most untouchable names, on his very last album, not for the headline, for the work. Number 1, 2001, a struggling new metal band from California, barely scraping by, self-releasing music, playing whatever shows they could get, starts tossing a riff into their live set just to mess around backstage. The riff is from Smooth Criminal. Crowds lose their minds every single time. So the band, Alien Ant Farm, actually records it. A full rock cover, distorted guitars, the whole new metal treatment, layered over Michael's original melody. It goes to number 1 on the US modern rock chart, number 1 in Australia for 8 straight weeks, top 3 in the UK. A rock cover of a Michael Jackson song became one of the defining rock radio anthems of the early 2000s. And here's the detail that still gets me. Before releasing the video, the band, nervous, genuinely intimidated, sent it to Michael directly for his blessing. He had one note: lose the kid wearing the surgical mask in the video, a detail that hit close to home for him personally. They reshot it, sent it back, and Michael changed his mind completely. He told them he actually liked it better with the mask. 20 years later, that video has been watched hundreds of millions of times. Rock fans who've never owned a Michael Jackson record can sing every word of that cover. And what almost nobody stops to consider is the obvious question underneath it. You can't turn a song into a defining rock anthem unless the bones of that song were rock to begin with. That's the whole 12 facts in one final image. The genre spent decades debating whether he belonged, and the entire time, his songs were already living comfortably inside rock radio, rock guitars, rock charts, just wearing somebody else's name on the cover. We didn't just owe him an apology, we owed him the credit we gave the cover band instead.